Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Here, I'm watching my dog eat, and I hope you guys don't get distracted by his sounds. So today we're gonna be talking about churn. Churn is a term that is very, very important and very used in telecommunications and in banking, and basically in every subscription-based model. Michael, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what churn is?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with the definition. So basically, you have a subscription model. You have customers paying monthly, which is a very good thing for the business, and they want to keep those customers paying monthly. So if a customer churns, that means they left the service. Either they were unhappy with the service and they canceled, or maybe they moved or something else. But anytime a customer leaves, that's a churn. So businesses want to keep track of what percent of customers are churning. Usually they'll have numbers anywhere between 5% and 20% of customers churning. And any small improvements you can make in that number ends up being very profitable.
Do we have an example of churn? Could you tell us what we did with the telecommunication company?
Yeah, sure. So we took business and transactional data that they had given us, and we did some machine learning and a model that's segmentation, and we were able to kind of group off all the people who were likely to leave the service within the next couple of months. That way, the call center could start calling those people proactively ahead of time and try to entice them to stay. And sometimes those customers weren't even sure they were going to leave yet. They're just people who were having a high likelihood of leaving. So the really cool thing is if you manage to call them even before they were thinking about leaving, then instead of having like a negative experience, they now have turned like a normal experience into a really positive experience because your company is trying to help you out before you had any negative thoughts about them.
And let me give you a little number here. So we did this for this company, and imagine you have 400,000 customers, and you have a churn rate of 18% a year. That means 72,000 customers yearly leave your company. 18%, we reduce 10%. And the savings plus additional revenue was more than $8 million dollars a year. So churn is really, really important when you are in the subscription based business model.
Yeah, it saves you money on two ends. One, you keep on getting revenue from the customers you didn't lose, and you don't have to spend the additional money on getting customers to replace the ones you lost.
Most of the companies are trying to move there because it gives them more control and more knowledge about what the customers are doing. And that, on the other hand, gives them the ability to improve the experience and make the relationships longer and more valuable for the company and for the customer.
Well said.
Now,
So how about we speculate? So how about travel and tourism, somewhere where we don't really see any subscription models? Like, I can think of one. I think you can too, because you went recently.
yes, I mean, the parks, right? The parks do the subscription model. Maybe not call it a subscription model, but you have the year pass. And the year pass is something that you renew every year. And that gives you a really, really strong advantage as a customer because you already paid for something. So you don't have to start looking for options, but you already know. Let's say you have the Disney pass. So you already know you're going to go to Disney next time you go to a park because you've already paid for that. That is a really good experience for the customer and for Disney, I guess.
Right? It's going to lock them into a brand and build loyalty. So it is possible to do it in tourism and industry, but DMOs, I can't think of anybody doing it yet. What would it look like?
Let's imagine you have something like Tampa dollars, right? You bought the Tampa package with Tampa dollars, and those dollars you can spend in Tampa everywhere, like in restaurants, in attractions, maybe in hotels, maybe in the store. You know, there's some money that you already have that you bought and that you can only spend in that destination. And what if you put into it a concept of gaming? How would that look like, Mike?
So like yeah, gamifying it. People really enjoy the feeling that they're like cheating a system somehow or like winning a system. So I don't say cheating in a bad way. I mean like somehow like what you're doing is giving you an advantage that somebody else doesn't have. And so that's really popular in gaming, it's popular in gambling, and everywhere. It's really enticing to people. So what would it look like?
You unlock different experiences. There's maybe a VIP experience, something behind the scenes that you only get if you achieve certain amount of Tampa dollars or a certain amount of experiences that you collect, right? I mean, this is not a new concept. This is a gaming concept that has been in the world for years. And it works perfectly because people want to achieve, people want to have rewards for something that they do. So that's a great idea to combine that with loyalty and enriching the experience and making a DMO much more like a company itself with different executions of experiences for them. So it's a really interesting concept. The other interesting aspect of this is that you would start gathering a lot of data that you don't have. Today, for a destination, for a DMO, it's really difficult to understand what the tourist, what the visitor is doing during the experience. Sometimes they know they came in, but everything that happened is kind of a black box. So if we imagine would have this loyalty platform, this Tampa dollars, and you could see where they were spent, that's a complete new level of understanding the journey of the visitor and being able to craft the experience much, much better so that the visitor is happier and the destination is stronger and the business environment benefits in general from working together to get all that on one single spot and crafting an overall experience.
Yeah, this is like the holy grail of DMOs, I think, is to be able to track the user journey, the customer journey once they arrive into the city.
All right, Mike. So thank you for the conversation. I think we dreamt a little, we imagined, but that's exactly the idea of this creative quarantine. So
yeah, I think like it sounds kind of unusual talking about doing like Tampa dollars, but I think once a DMO actually follows through and does it, it's going to seem a lot more obvious